Thank you, Paul. More information is coming out daily over the dramatic fall and decline of Watson worldwide. Its stock price continuing a downward spiral. The European Financial Authority has swept into the Berlin and London offices of Watson Industries and arrested 6 senior members of the executive staff for money laundering, tax evasion and accepting illegal transfers of millions of euros into offshore accounts.
Meanwhile, in London, police are still looking for clues into the murder of a Watson worldwide employee found shot and floating in the Thames. In New York, courts have issued several indictments for Robert Watson in charges of rape and sexual assault. They are seeking extradition to the States.
Throughout all this turmoil, the one person no one has seen or heard from is the man himself, Robert Watson. Who is this man behind the scandal? And what is he hiding? As his failing gossip rag, the International Enquirer, says.
Our viewers want to know.
In other news.
Okay, Mr. Patel. I stayed late and agreed to meet with you. What can I do for you?
It is what I can do for you, and for Ms. Beecham. I have information that will be very interesting for your viewers in the gossip and entertainment area, Miss Monica Morris Masterson.
Gossip, I love it. Spill the dirt, Mr. Patel.
Ha ha ha. Not so fast, I have a little tale to tell. I went to Vienna this week and met a man named Moritz. He had some very interesting things to say. You may find it of some use. Mr. Moritz, I am Sir J. Patel. We have a mutual client, and I was told you may be able to help me.
Mr. Patel, as I told you over the phone, I worked for Mr. Aschenbach, who hired me to investigate certain incidents for his client. I gave him and his client that information. Unfortunately, most of the information was circumstantial or unusable in a court of law.
Well there, Mr. Moritz, I have an advantage. I will not pursue a court of law. I will try this individual anonymously in the court of public opinion, where such scruples and procedures are not necessary. So any help you could provide would be greatly appreciated and anonymously well compensated.
Well, I cannot give you the name of the client, but the person I investigated, I have no problem telling you about him. This is to all be kept as an anonymous source, right?
Of course, discretion is my middle name. Then he told me an incredible tale of revenge, resentment, manipulation and murder. You might want to sit down for this.
Ah!
First things first. The man the world knows is Robert Watson is a fictitious invention and completely false identity.
Wow.
The story goes back many years to the times of, shall we just call him Robert? Robert's father and his father's best friend. As in many tales of woe, there was a love triangle involved, money and deception.
Naturally.
It seems Robert's father, Karl-Heinz, was a prince, a German prince, and although titled, was not very wealthy, but he married well. He married a girl his best friend Georg introduced him to. She wanted the title and had money, he wanted money and had a title. So it was a perfect match.
Except.
Exactly, except there was a slight problem. The young lady Sophie was pregnant on her wedding day.
Let me guess, Karl-Heinz was not the father.
Exactly. Fast forward 17 years and Karl-Heinz is on his deathbed. Sophie confesses to him and to her son that the boy he loved and raised as his own was not in fact his, but was fathered by his best friend Georg. This did not go down well at all. Karl-Heinz disinherited both her and the bastard son.
Interesting story, but this is going where? How is this related to the gossip about Robert Watson?
Patience, my dear. Anyway, the son went to the same private boarding school in Switzerland, as the two children of his father's best friend, Georg. This boy made a manipulative effort to befriend and eventually seduce both the brother and the sister.
Now it is getting good.
Karl-Heinz's son was brilliant, but more than a little bit vindictive and a sociopath. Over the next couple of years, he convinced the son of his father's best friend to do things like experiment with kinky sex, hard drugs, and rock and roll. He convinced him to spend his money in a wild and hedonistic life. He finally convinced this simple-minded teenager to visit his father in Italy. There, he met his father's best friend and convinced his son to seduce his father's young Italian mistress.
Wow.
In the meantime, he switched Georg heart medicine and rigged the brakes in Georg's fancy Italian sports car. Within days, Georg died of a heart attack, and his son and his young Italian mistress were killed in an auto accident.
Oh my God.
Shortly thereafter, the young man was presumed drowned in a lake in Italy, and the body was never found. 6 months later, Robert Watson appeared on the scene in New York as a boy financial wizard. From there, you know all about him.
Well, whatever happened to the daughter of Georg?
She inherited the entire family fortune and all the responsibilities it entailed. She was young and inexperienced and ran away to London and married an older, wealthier man.
Hey, that sounds like what Miss Beecham did. Didn't she come to London as an intern and eventually married Lord Beecham?
Interesting coincidence, isn't it, Miss Morris Masterson?
So are you saying that Robert Watson is the murdering bastard son of some German prince, and that his whole life is a lie and an attempt at revenge?
Draw your own conclusions, my dear.
To be continued.